I'm going to continue with the geometry, the wireframe geometry that was created in the previous video, and show you how to start doing a contour toolpath to cut the slot through our part that we want to create. The first thing I'm going to do here is actually choose which machine that I'm going to use in Mastercam. So in currently where I'm at is in the Home tab. If I go over to the Machine tab, you're going to see over here in this group there are different machine types that we can use. In this case, what I'm going to do is use the mill. So the machine that we're using in the lab in class is a Haas vertical milling center, and so that's what we're going to be using here. There's a list of mills that would be available to you. In this case, what I have here already set up is the generic Haas 3X mill for Mastercam. If that's not appearing in your list, though, what you can do is go down here to the Manage List and look for it in the Machine Definition Menu Management. So in this case, we have a list here. You're going to see that the particular one that I had already selected is no longer in this list over here. But if you're trying to do this and add that mill to your list, then what you would do is simply left click on it over here and then click add. But what I want to warn you about is that since in class we're going to be using inches instead of millimeters, you're going to want to click on the one that does not have this capital MM here in the title of the milling machine. So I'm going to go ahead and select OK. In this case, I already have that one selected, so it's already in my list. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this. And once I choose that, you can see that what happens over here is I end up with, in my toolpath manager, I've got a machine group 1 here that pops up. And in the properties, I can see that this is the generic Haas 3-axis VMC that I chose, so that's good. There's a little plus sign here that you can actually open up. And then once you open that up, you can see that there are 3 different things in here that you can change settings to. For right now, I'm not going to discuss what's going on here in the Files section. We'll just open this up, starting with the Tool Settings. And I'm just going to make some basic changes to the tool settings, and we'll talk more in depth about why I'm doing these things later. But at this point, let's just go ahead and make these changes. So I'm going to do a couple different things in this tab. One is to warn of duplicate tool numbers. And the other thing that I want to do is make sure that I override the defaults with modal values under this advanced options setting. And I'm just going to enable the clearance, retract, and feed plane as well. Make sure that you don't have selected anything else here in the toolpath configuration at this point. So don't select any of these, like the assign tool number sequentially or the search tool library when entering a tool number, because what we're going to be doing is manually entering tool numbers for the tools that we typically have loaded onto our machine in the shop. So if we manually add those in and you have some of these other settings enabled, then what's going to happen is you're going to be loading the incorrect tool for our use. The next tab over that we need to take a look at is the stock setup. So in this case, what we're going to do is set up for a stock that matches the exact size of or the approximate exact size of our block. So the block that we're going to be machining. So a couple different settings here, and we'll go back and discuss some of these more in depth later, but just in the interest of getting this set up and showing you how to do it in the videos, the first thing that I'm going to do is left click on this to display, and I want to see this wireframe displayed on the screen whenever I go ahead and OK out of this block. So what this is going to do is it's going to show me that stock material all the way around. The other thing that I want to do is I want to move my origin over here to coincide with what I've got going on out here on the graphics screen. So this is where the origin of my geometry is at. This is also where I want the geometry of my stock to be as well. And I'm going to make these settings here for the dimensions, again, they're going to be the exact value for that stock piece. And this is another one of those issues that we'll talk about later on in the class about how this may or may not be the situation in a real world machining application to have your stock be the exact same size. The easiest way to do this is actually to go down here and select all entities, and in which case it's going to put in this distance of 2, this x distance of 4, but we're going to also add in our z distance of 1 here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then when I select OK, what you're going to see is I come back out here to the screen, and you're going to see that red dashed line that indicates our stock piece. And if I hold down my middle mouse key and rotate things, you can see that now, instead of just having this geometry, I actually also have this box, this block that represents our stock part, so our stock piece of material. So in this case, what I want to point out to you before I end this particular video session is that this is not it's not a 3D model. It is simply a representation. So I can't take this and do anything with it in terms of the geometry. So I can't make another line that attaches to this point or anything like that. It is simply a representation, a 3D representation of our actual material piece that we will stick in the mill. So what we've done is we've taken our two-dimensional drawing and overlaid it, if you will, on top of this stock piece. That's all we've really done. And if I want to go back to the top view that I was in, I can simply go in here to the view menu and go back to top. So instead of going forward with actually setting up the contour at this point, or the first toolpath at this point, I'm going to end this video here because, again, I want to try to stay within around 5 minutes, though I think it's probably going to be more like in the 5 to 10 minute range with some of these videos. But I kind of want to give this in shorter blurbs for you guys so that you're not inundated with a lot of stuff, and that you can kind of take a look at these and digest it a little easier. See you next video.